What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to our show, Real Estate Ties. You're here with Keys. You can call me Mr. Mortgage or my name, Kechanth. And I'm here with...
Peter Gregorian, Properties with Peter on Instagram. And we're Real Estate Ties, connecting the worlds of mortgages, real estate, and business together on this show.
Yep.
So today, episode 2, we're focusing on the leasing versus buying debate.
Yeah. It is a very hot topic right now, especially with, interest rates coming down, how uncertain the market is with
Yeah.
Trump's tariffs. We really don't know what's going to really happen. And, with rental income coming down too, it's definitely a topic that a lot of people are thinking about. And, we thought that today we could talk about the disadvantages and the advantages of leasing and buying, and maybe throw up some analysis here too to show you guys some real life numbers and, give you guys, what it
An insight
actually, yeah, some
into,
insight on what
especially
it
if you're on
actually
the
takes.
fence,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Yeah. So Keys, what camp are you in? Are you in the leasing camp? Are you in the buying camp?
Yeah.
What are you leaning more towards?
Yeah. I mean, you kind of know my view on it, and you've always been confused about it. But I think this podcast is a great way to kind of put that all on the table and kind of tell you,
Definitely.
But yeah, I think it really goes down to everyone's financial situation and their preferences firstly, right? And for me personally, I would rather lease than buy, simply because of my own preferences, and
course.
how I kind of want to go about my business, right? So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I know you're a little confused about that, but and you probably want to understand why, but you're the realtor,
Yeah.
so let me flip it back to you. And you tell us why, give us some few reasons why, leasing might be a good idea for someone.
Absolutely. Well, I think it is a little confusing as someone who's a mortgage agent, right?
Yeah.
To be, okay with leasing when your business is built on buying.
Yeah.
But I think that really ties into it's a lifestyle choice,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So with leasing, there are benefits, there are disadvantages, but let's focus on the benefits for now.
Mhm.
So really, I see there's two main benefits to leasing, and that's really number one, the flexibility,
Of course.
and number two, the lower upfront cost to
Yeah.
get into a property anywhere in the city,
Mhm.
right? So I'm actually helping a client right now relocate from New York, the Big Apple, to Toronto.
Nice.
And that really speaks to the flexibility of leasing. They're looking to lease, and for the reason that they don't know where their job is going to take them, right? I mean, let's turn it back to you. You work at Warden and Highway 7,
Around there, yeah.
around there. And if you wanted to move, if your office moves downtown, maybe you want to move downtown as well and be able to get up and go anytime you want. So with leasing, you really just need to give that 60 days notice at the end of that 1-year term if you wanted to pack up and move anywhere else.
Yeah.
In the province, in the
You're
world.
not attached to that property.
You're not attached to it. Exactly. And the second point is really the lower upfront costs. So
Big one.
with leasing, you don't need to save a down payment.
Yeah.
5%, 10%, 20%, whatever it is. You don't need to save it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
All you need is that first and last month's rent. And with that, you can pretty much get any property in the city, assuming that, your credit scores are strong, your employment income is strong, and then also you have strong references from previous landlords that, can vouch for you for that property.
Yeah.
And with that, you can basically, like I said, rent any home that matches your rent to income ratio, which a lot of landlords will look at. So, the rule of thumb is around 30%. But, each landlord has their own set of qualifications when they're choosing a renter. So those are some of the, benefits of leasing. But with, buying, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, but before we even get into buying, I want to kind of echo those points there for leasing,
absolutely.
right? For me personally, I'm a young individual. I'd
Yes.
love to live in downtown, right?
Exactly.
Can I afford something in downtown by buying it? Maybe not right now, right? But do I even want to buy something in downtown and hold it for the future? Probably not, right? It's just not something that I want to hold, right? I'd rather just lease there and live there for a bit, experience that downtown life, and then, go to my next spot.
It's a
On top
lifestyle
of that,
thing.
yeah, exactly. On top of that, living by my brokerage, I think that's just amazing, right? Well, how much is a 1-bedroom, 1 condo, a 1-bedroom, 1 den, 1 bath going for right now, Peter?
Yeah.
How much is that going for?
So, you're looking around 600-ish in that mark for a purchase in the Markham area.
Yeah.
Whereas with leasing, I mean, it would be around $2,450, $2,500 a month, right?
There you go.
So it's definitely a lower upfront cost to get into a condo
Yeah,
in that
100%.
area
There you
if
go.
you're going to
So
lease, right?
yeah,
And it's really your time horizon. Like, how long do you plan to stay in that area? Do you want to
exactly.
set roots there,
Yeah.
or do you just see it as a very temporary, short-term thing where you ideally want to live somewhere else?
Yeah. And with that being said, like I'm not saying don't buy. Like I own a property myself,
Yeah.
but yeah, I guess jump into like, the advantages of buying.
Yeah. Well, the adventures of buying are basically kind of like the counterpoints to leasing,
Okay.
right? With buying, I like to say that if you can afford it, if your financial situation is set up for it, if you've got that down payment saved, if your lifestyle, you're ready to like manage that lifestyle of owning a home, then go for it. Especially in this market where, interest rates are coming down, so it makes it a little bit more affordable to get in and qualify for a home.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to kind of sum it up, I think one of my favorite aspects of buying a home is that you build equity. And what I mean by that is like it's almost a forced savings
Yeah.
plan, right?
Of course, exactly.
Every month you pay that mortgage,
Hmm.
basically you're putting money towards owning that home outright.
Yeah.
And with that, you're building equity, meaning that you can either pull it out in a refinance, which we'll talk about probably in a future episode,
Yeah.
or, you just own it outright and you can do what you want with it.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the second point of, buying is the fact that you have control,
Yeah.
right? You're not answering to the landlord, number one.
Yeah.
And number two is you can decorate the home however you want. If you want to paint a room pink, you can go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
If you want to add memorabilia, you can do that. If you want to throw up a wall, remove a wall, add a separate entrance for rental income, you can do that,
Yeah.
right? So you're not really answering to anyone but yourself. And by doing that, you can even build extra equity in the home.
Yeah. Yeah.
But those are different strategies we're going to talk about in a little bit. I mean, I think the next question I have for you, Keys, is if someone's looking to lease or buy, what's the ideal? Like, what is the ideal situation that you could potentially have?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, let's talk about numbers before I pull out my handy dandy calculator, right? So, we already talked about a 1 bedroom, 1 den, 1 bath condo, going for about, 2,500, right? And on top of that as well, to own that same property, it would probably be a $600,000 purchase price. You're probably putting down $120,000 down for a 20%, down payment,
Yeah.
which would give you about a $480,000 mortgage,
Mortgage.
right? Now, let's put things to a little bit a different scenario, right? The average home in the GTA right now is about $1 million,
That's
right?
correct.
Now, how much do you think you could rent out the top and bottom? How much do you think you can
Yeah.
rent that out
Well,
for?
on average, if you're looking at renting each separately, you could probably get around $5,500 a month. Let's call it 2,300 on the top, 3,500 on the top, and then 23 or 22 on the bottom.
Okay, so let's just say 5,500 on average.
On average,
right?
yeah.
Now, let's pull up my calculator here, right? Put things into perspective. So we have a $1 million mortgage, a $1 million purchase price. We put $100,000 down. Now your mortgage amount is at $900,000. Let's put a average, the variable rate right now in the market is about 4.5%. Let's do that. And the amortization is about 30 years. So when you look at that, your mortgage comes to about a little over $4,500, right? Now, when you are a landlord, you have to pay for those property taxes, right? Which, once again, another reason why I like leasing, because you don't have to pay for the property taxes. But
Exactly.
as a landlord, you have to pay for those property taxes, right? Now, let's say your property taxes are about $3,000 annually. You're adding about $250 on a monthly basis, right? Now, when you add those numbers together, that's about $4,750 on a monthly basis.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you told me that you can get that same property, assuming you want your property to make money for you and work for you, you can get $5,500 on average from that property.
Assuming
now,
it's, a detached home, separate entrance, upstairs and downstairs, rented separately.
Basically, that average $1 million home right now
Exactly.
here in Toronto, right? With the separate entrance and all that great stuff, right? So $5,500, you minus that from $4,750, you get a difference of $750. So you're cash flowing $750 a month, right? Now, I'm renting, by Warren Highway 7 for $2,500 a month, and I'm cash flowing on this property for $750, right? Now I'm taking that $750 and I'm putting it on my lease, and now my lease is $1,750 a month.
Yeah.
So now I have this easy fixed monthly expense, living expense, right? And I don't have to worry about property taxes here. I don't have to worry about, anything breaking down and me fixing it, because that's
no
something that
maintenance. The landlord will take
the
care of.
landlord has to take care of that,
Yep.
right? while I still have a property that's working for me, that's building that equity, and everything is covered through that cash flow, right? Property
Exactly.
taxes, your mortgage, your utilities,
Yeah.
everything is covered there, right? So
And that's the beauty of real estate.
that's the beauty of real estate. So, we're here to kind of help you understand that this path to home ownership could be a lot easier than just that regular script that everyone's kind of going through, right? Which is treating home ownership as an expense, right? Like,
Exactly.
especially people our age right now, they're kind of just, oh, let's get engaged, let's get married, and let's buy that home.
Mhm.
But what ends up doing is that you kind of put yourself in, that hundreds of thousands of dollars in
It becomes
debt,
a debt as
right? It
opposed
becomes an
to
expense
yeah,
rather than an asset that's working for you, right?
absolutely.
So that's why I would rather lease than buy, right? And
And you have a really good saying for that. What is
yeah,
it?
oh yeah. So it's live where you rent and rent what you own,
Okay, I
right?
feel like
So
that needs to be on a t-shirt or
yeah, yeah,
something because
yeah,
that's
yeah.
such a great saying.
Yeah,
And I think that really speaks to how real estate, there's so many different strategies. One that I like to always talk about is the house hacking, right? And house hacking is basically when you rent the basement, but you live on the main floor,
there you
or
go.
vice versa. You live in the basement if you really want to be frugal,
Yeah,
and you rent out the main floor for a lot more,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because in that case, I mean, you're going to be you might not be cash flowing anything, but you are subsidizing your living costs. And it almost makes more sense to then buy as opposed to rent.
Yeah, and to put that perspective into,
Numbers.
into numbers right now,
Yeah.
right? Let's just say it's a $4,750 mortgage, right? And including property taxes. You're renting out the bottom for 2,200, right? Do quick math. I don't know. That's like you're paying like maybe 2,600.
Yeah,
Yeah,
roughly.
about
Yeah,
around
40,
there,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Maybe 2,500. You're right. Yeah, so 2,500 about there. That's what you're paying for the top. So when you put that to in perspective, you're actually paying the same as I would be for leasing a one
exactly.
bedroom, one den, one bath. So it
Exactly.
actually makes more sense for you to live in the home,
Yeah.
own the home, and still make some rental income off of it as
Of
well.
course.
And you can do that all at, putting 10% down, right? So
Yeah.
another great way to kind of take advantage of the different strategies here, right? So once again, we're here to really help you guys make that dream of home ownership in the least painful way, in the least
Exactly.
and make this an asset that is going to work for you,
Yeah.
right?
And
So
the biggest challenge is finding those kinds of properties, right?
yeah,
So that's why you want to work with experts who know the
exactly,
market and know
exactly.
the different types of property types out there and where to look for these kinds of
Yeah, so
properties.
you got the realtor here who's gonna help you find the deal, and you got the mortgage agent that's gonna crunch the
Help
numbers and
finance
make
the
sure
deal.
the numbers work for you. Right?
Exactly,
So
exactly. And to give a little bit of value back, we are going to have guides out for, leasing checklists, understanding the pros and cons of buying versus selling, so that you guys have something in front of you that's tangible that you can bring, whether it's to us or, to whoever you're working with to help you, get off the fence of leasing versus buying.
on that note, guys, make sure you guys follow Real Estate Ties, Mr. Mortgage,
Properties with Peter.
and make sure you subscribe to our channel, Real Estate Ties as well. And stay tuned for our next episode because we have lots of exciting stuff. And yeah,
We'll see you on the next one.
yeah, let's go dab again.
Okay. No, that's not working. That's not working.